actually surprising, but a lot of times the nightlife, like when you go out to parties, to bars and top clubs here in Eastern Europe, and I actually noticed it first here in Minsk, it can actually be better in the winter.
SAR Experience.
Privyet is a Minska. Greetings from the capital of Belarus. As you can see from the snow behind me, it is winter, and that is the theme of today's Vodka Vodkas with me, Connor Klein. It is 5 reasons you should come to Eastern Europe in the winter time and not in the summertime, right? So when I mean Eastern Europe, first of all, primarily I'm talking about countries like Russia, here in Belarus, I'm in Minsk, the capital, and Ukraine. Now, of course, we can say, I think in general, a lot of these tips are going to be relevant to other regions, definitely for these countries, why you should consider coming in the winter. And the reason why I'm making this podcast is I realized from speaking to my clients, obviously, those who live this our experience with me. If you're interested in that, link below to the application form, go check it out. And if you assume you're watching my other content, so you know what that's all about at this stage. And I've noticed that there is this kind of tendency to go for, let's live the Zara experience in the summertime. Now, I always preface my reply to my clients and prospective clients this way. Guys are predictable. Us guys, we all basically think the same way. And that's what 95% of guys think. They think, I will come to summer when the weather is obviously nicer, unless you love the freezing cold, which coincidentally, I actually do like the cold. I like the change of seasons. I don't want it to be sunny all the time. I want this contrast in life. Otherwise, I would live in somewhere like, I guess, maybe I live in the equator, live in Brazil, or spend most of my winter in Bali, but I actually don't do that. I actually spend the freezing cold here in Eastern Europe or Central Asia, where I just flew back from Almaty, Almaty in Kazakhstan to here. So I'm going to outline for you 5 reasons that you should consider in today's podcast for coming here in the wintertime as opposed to summertime. Now, reason number 1, it's pretty obvious because not just all guys think alike, I think all people think alike, and they tend to travel more in the summer, and that is there are a lot less tourists here in the winter. Dramatically less. So you probably notice if you ever go traveling during the summer how much of a rise there is in the prices, especially if you're looking for accommodation. Even the prices on the menu, you have to get a summer touristic prices and then the winter local prices. So basically there's a lot less tourists in the winter, and that gives you a more authentic experience. Like, let's take Western Europe, where tourism is a lot more than here in Eastern Europe. And just the complete overkill, how most of the main sites of a city are spoiled by the number of huge tourism that you see, like this over tourism. I actually made a video years ago about that from the Netherlands, and just how it ruins that authentic experience. So that's the first thing to consider if you come to Eastern Europe, and that's in particular relevant if you go to, say, St. Petersburg, which is the big main attraction for tourists, I think, in Eastern Europe, and also to a certain extent Kiev in Ukraine. Odessa definitely is a very different experience, but Odessa is a summer city, so I'll give you a pass on that. I actually recommend going to Odessa in the summer, not the winter. But those other cities, like, say, Lviv in Western Ukraine, is a really beautiful city. That's just a very different experience in the winter because you don't have the same level of tourism. Here in the center of Minsk, I've been here for the weekend. It's now Sunday evening, and I haven't seen so many foreigners here. It's really just local Belarusians. That gives you more authentic experience when you come here, and that's a nice segue into the second reason, which is it's better value for money, in the sense that prices are dramatically lower. Like getting an Airbnb apartment or paying for the hotel, that you don't have those peak time pricing when everyone tries to get the same resources, scarce resources, which requires things like accommodation. And as I said, if somewhere is really popular and is very touristic, then boom, prices explode in the winter. Now, a good example of this is actually what I discourage you to go to and do in the first point, which is to go to Odessa in the winter, because it really is a summer city, and I don't particularly recommend going there in the winter time because it is a little bit gray and the city is a little bit empty. But one of my consulting clients actually did go there in winter because he wanted that feel. But one thing that you notice is accommodation, like for a very nice Airbnb apartment right on the main street there at Basilskaya, is probably half the price of it when you go there during the summer. So that's just a great example in terms of accommodation, which is one of the biggest expenses you're going to have when you're traveling, when you're coming to Eastern Europe. A city like Odessa, which is very summer orientated in tourism because it's on the seaside, it's half the price. Really, it's incredibly cheap. Like you can get a nice apartment for like 25 to 30 euros in the city center during the winter time. So definitely in terms of pricing and just your budget going further, no matter how much you're spending, even if you're spending thousands, it's just gonna be so much cheaper in the winter time. So that's something to bear in mind, of course. Now, the third point and third reason that you should consider coming here in the winter time is you face a lot less competition with the local lovely ladies of Eastern Europe. And that is the main reason. I know, let's be frank about it, very frank about it, while you watch this channel in general. And it's about supply and demand to a certain extent. Girls are not going to be traveling, first of all, as much in the winter themselves. So it's not just guys think like this, but actually traveling out. And they obviously have their own maybe summer holidays that they're going to travel and go to somewhere else out of Eastern Europe, especially if they're Ukrainian and they have visa free to Schengen. A lot of locals are going to leave. And of course, who comes in to replace them en masse? Those horny guys from Western Europe primarily, or from Israel, or from the Middle East, or from Turkey, or from North America, and they're all here hoping to meet the hot chicks in Eastern Europe. And that just means that the small number of girls here have a lot more choice if they are interested in meeting foreign guys. This is obviously going to quadruple in the summertime, and you're going to face more competition, and more competition. It's a basic economics looking at a market and also the same for dating, is that you're just going to have less options than when you come here during the winter times. So this is probably, I saved it for the third one, but that's probably the one you're most interested in. And that's the thing that I really emphasize with my prospective clients and my clients when they come here, is like, come in the winter time. Don't come for the weather and the sunshine, although today was pretty nice. Actually, it was pretty spectacular here in Minsk. It's going to snow again tomorrow, and then of course, if you don't mind the cold so much, which is obviously the reason why people don't come here, bear that in mind, that you're just going to have that winter vibe, and you're going to be basically a lot more of a rarity, and your value on the dating market is going to be a lot higher. So that is the reason. If I think back about it, probably that's the way it's also worked out for me. As much as I love the kind of beach party in the summer scene in Eastern Europe as well, especially in Odessa, that in the wintertime, it's actually easier to meet and date local girls than it is in the summertime. Simple economics 101. So reason number 4, and that's a correlate of reason number 3. It's actually surprising, but a lot of times the nightlife, like when you go out to parties, to bars and top clubs here in Eastern Europe, and I actually noticed it first here in Minsk, it can actually be better in the winter, because actually here in Minsk, I would say probably just about the best time for the parties was January. And it was, unlike this winter, which has actually been very mild, it was not a wild winter last year, and it was actually pretty cold, extremely cold on the streets, and a lot of snow, and very inconvenient to leave your house. But actually what happened is the girls went and partied in one place, and they just didn't leave. They didn't walk around the streets, they didn't do anything else. They actually seemed to want to escape that cold outside and have fun and let loose, and it was actually a really cool party atmosphere. Actually better during the winter on average than it was in the summertime. It was also pretty good in the summer, I have to say, but these are the places that we went to that January, and also in March when I was back here in Minsk. They were phenomenal. Really, really amazing. So definitely that's the 4 reasons at the time. The nightlife can actually be better in general in the winter time, especially if it's indoors, which most nightlife is. Of course, you have more summer parties outdoors. So a city like Odessa, it's going to be better during the summer there for sure. The nightlife during the summer, because you're outside, it's the main part of the season. But these more year-round cities, like a capital that's not on the seaside, like Kiev or Moscow or here in Minsk, bear that in mind. Nightlife is actually better in the winter. And the final 5th reason why you should come to Eastern Europe during the winter is you just have a special winter vibe. And that is things like the Christmas markets around Christmas time, very popular ones in Kiev, for example, a couple of Ukraine. Also, it's actually a bit smaller here in Minsk, but for sure in Lviv, in the West Ukraine, really nice winter market there. You also have them in Odessa and most cities in Eastern Europe. Pretty similar to what you see also in Western Europe. That means having a drink over a glühwein. It's definitely a different vibe and a very special one. Of course, you can go skiing. That's also something that's cool to do in the winter when you come also to Eastern Europe. I am going to ski actually and film it, assuming I actually still go in about 2 or 3 weeks to Bukovel in Ukraine, in the west of Ukraine. I've actually been there before skiing, and I'm also considering going to Siberia. Very special video coming up from there at the end of the ski season. Georgia in the South Caucasus is another place where it's a lot of skiing, and also of course Sochi in Russia, also close to the Black Sea and close to Georgia. Famous skiing there as well. And actually just where I got back from Almaty in Kazakhstan has skiing right above the city. It's extremely quick to get to, so that's another thing to do during the winter time. Just something obviously that's going to be different and unique during the winter that you don't get when you come in the summer. So if you're a big skier, it's also got options here in Eastern Europe. It's not all about the Alps in Europe, in Western Europe, even if those mountains are higher. Of course, it's actually a good bit cheaper to ski as well, so you can make your money go further. And I actually like Bukovel as well because I'm Western Ukraine, because they do have a lot of spas, and I find that it's a cool mixture to do, especially with a girlfriend, with some beautiful girls from Eastern Europe who actually go and do the spa thing and then a little bit of skiing in between. So definitely consider that. So that is it. There are my 5 reasons to come here in the winter. Definitely consider it. And if you want to live the Xara experience with me, Connor Klein, in person, then as I said at the top of the video, got some pigeons here flying around me. Go and click on the link below if you're the kind of person that, first of all, is into the wintertime listening to my advice. Then come and let's do it in the winter, but of course we can also do it during the summer. I've already outlined in about 30 videos exactly the criteria for living the Xara experience. You've probably watched my other content already about the big differences and the reasons that you should come to this region over Western Europe. So if you've enjoyed this video, of course, no problem, give it a thumbs up, but more importantly, write me a comment below and let me know about your experiences traveling in Eastern Europe, maybe in the summertime versus the winter time, maybe in the spring or the fall or autumn, as it's known in British English as opposed to American English, because that's really valuable to not just to me, to get to hear your feedback and your own experience, but also to other viewers of this video, and create this kind of community spirit with lots of guys giving information, sharing information, experiences that can help the others who watch the video and read the comments below. Of course, this is my first video back in Eastern Europe. I was in Central Asia. You're going to see an amazing vlog. It's probably already in the channel by the time I publish this one, and also some other advice videos in Central Asia. I will not be going there that often. I'm going to be prioritizing in 2020 actually Russia. I'm going to go there a good few times. Excited about that. I've been talking about this for 2 months, but I actually need to get on the plane and get to Russia. I'm just in Belarus for a short stop, and then of course there will be plenty of content coming also from Ukraine, or my heart, Odessa Mama, over the year. So greetings from my first video from Minsk, magical Minsk in 2020. See you very soon in the next one. До свидания. Ciao.
Xara Experience.